Well, here we are. This is it. This is it. The final Nightmare review. This is it. We're going to do Freddy's... What? So this isn't the last Nightmare review? So there's three more of these things? Oh, shit. Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare stars Robert Englund, Lisa Zane, and is directed by Rachel Talalay. So the last Nightmare review we did, The Dream Child, really threw me for a loop because I actually ended up enjoying that one. And I don't remember Freddy's Dead at all. I don't even think I've ever finished that movie. So really, I went into this one blind and didn't know what to expect. But as you can tell by my intro, this pretty much turned out the way I suspected it would. And it's a shame too, because this was supposedly at the time the last Nightmare movie. They were gonna kill Freddy off for good. So this one should have put the nail in the coffin. Thank God that they brought Freddy back for a couple more movies, because can you imagine if this would have been the true last Nightmare on Elm Street movie? I mean, what a downer. So anyway, let's get into this review. So this one actually takes place 10 years after the events of The Dream Child. Originally, they wanted to get Lisa Wilcox to come back, which would have been cool because then she would have been in 3 Nightmare movies. You know, in Halloween, we had the character Jamie in 3 movies. And then in Friday the 13th, we had Tommy in 3 movies. So this would have been Lisa in 3 movies. Or 3 consecutive movies, I guess you could say, because Nancy really is in 3 movies, they're just not consecutive. They were even going to go as far as have Jacob in the movie, and that was going to be the John Doe character. But they scrapped that whole idea because they couldn't get Lisa Wilcox. So they had to completely redo the script. So there's your first problem with this movie. Second problem is they brought in Rachel Talalay, who was a production assistant, I believe, all the way back to the early Nightmare movies, which is kind of like Frank Mancuso Jr., who did most of the Friday movies. So she started, you know, pretty much down in the mailroom, I guess you could say, or, you know, pretty much the bottom rung, and worked her way all the way up to the director's chair. And I think it's safe to say that, you know, this was her first movie that she ever directed. I'm not even sure if she directed another movie after this. But the results are just really, really lackluster, uninteresting. And I also heard that she was sick during the last section of the movie, so she didn't even direct all of it. So the story goes, John Doe is the last of the Elm Street kids, and Freddy wants to use him to get more kids, you know, get new Elm Streets, because Freddy's not done killing. Freddy wants to kill pretty much every kid that he can get his hands on. That's what he loves doing. So John Doe leads Freddy to this psych ward, you know, with a whole new batch of teenage victims. And the psych ward is led by this character, Maggie, who ends up being Freddy's daughter. And ultimately, Freddy wants Maggie to carry on his legacy. So anyway, guys, where do I begin with this movie? There are just so many problems with it. It's really hard to dissect because it's just riddled with problems. I'll start out with the good. There are a few scenes that I kind of like, and really none of them are the kill scenes, which should be the scenes that you like in a horror movie. I do like the last act where you get to see the evolution of Freddy, you know, from a child, you know, to a teenager, and then to an adult. And his father is played by Alice Cooper, which was a nice little twist. That is really the one section that I kind of enjoyed. And I also liked the character of Maggie, who played Freddy's daughter. But is she a Nancy? Hell no. And like I said, this movie is supposedly supposed to be the last Freddy movie at that time. It should have been great. It really should have. And if you look at the behind the scenes on this, really they just wanted to end the series. This was just a cash grab. They even shot the last portion of it in 3D. There was really no interest in making this a great final Freddy movie, which is kind of the reason I think New Nightmare came along. But we'll get to that. But I could spend, you know, an hour talking about all the problems with this movie, but I'll break it down for you in the meat and potatoes. And it really comes down to the characters and the story. The characters are not interesting at all. So when they get to the inevitable kill scenes, you don't really care. And the kill scenes are just really weak. You got the one kill with the deaf kid, and Freddy is using his disability against him. And it sounds good on paper, but the execution of that scene is just not interesting at all. Or it just might be the character is not interesting at all. And then you got another character who's doing like kickboxing or karate or whatever she's doing. And you think they would have learned the lesson from the Dream Master. Karate just doesn't work well in horror movies in general. And also you got these cameos by Roseanne Barr and Tom Arnold and then Johnny Depp. And they really just felt out of place. It's like the story's going along and then, oh, let's sprinkle these cameos, celebrity cameos in there to really just kind of deflect. And then finally, Freddy. Boy, Freddy just really kind of goes out with a whimper.
What do you know? I beat my high score.
Like I said, I did enjoy that last section where they show the evolution, but overall, just he's really annoying in this movie. The kills are bad. His one-liners are bad. And ultimately, this movie is the most forgettable. And I posted on Twitter a few days ago how I was trying to get through this movie, and I think I had to stop it about halfway through. It's just a tough movie to get through, and it's really not a nightmare movie that I'll ever visit again, to be honest. It's that bad. And I'd say out of all the part 6s of the 3 big horror icons, this is easily the worst. Plus, you know, Friday you had Jason Lives, which is great. And then Halloween, you had Halloween 6, which I love. So really, it was dead in the water anyway. But overall, guys, I'm definitely going to give this movie a 2 hours lost. It's just really bad. It's just painful to watch. But I'm glad I got through this one. So now we're getting to New Nightmare and then the remake. And I'm really looking forward to reviewing both of those. But people that pick apart the remake, if you play the remake side by side with Freddy's Dead, it looks like Citizen Kane. I am dead serious. It is just a horrible movie, Freddy's Dead. So anyway, guys, I'm sure most of you probably agree with me on this, but if you like Freddy's Dead, let me know what you like about it. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Subscribe to my channel, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd, and Humdrum out.